you're going to get a piece of 12 by 18 paper that's been folded in thirds already for you. The creases are there to act as kind of a guideline. All you have to do is take your paper and use this handy dancy monster drawing guide. You're going to pick a body, you're going to pick some arms, you're going to pick some legs, and there you have it. Now, these are just suggestions. They give you kind of an idea of the look we're going for. So with your oil pastel, you do not need to draw in pencil first. You're going to make the body between the first fold and the second fold around that area. It can be taller than that or a little bit lower, but you need to leave room for the legs. So I'm going to go with this sort of ghosty type shape. All right, there you go. Then I'm going to pick my arms from this. You can stick with the same oil pastel or get a different one, doesn't matter. And certainly you can make changes. Like I'm going to make these arms going up, or at least one of them going up, almost like he's a friendly one waving, and one going down. You will later be cutting this out, so if that matters to you when you're drawing, you can keep that in mind. Now I'm drawing my legs. Okay, there you go. I've got my body, my arms, and my legs. Your next step is to, on your own, add some fun patterns using oil pastels. You'll notice there's no eyes, or eye, if you only want to have one eye, and there's no mouth. We are going to add those later on day 3. This is what you need to accomplish for day 1. And of course, name and class code on the bottom of your paper. Okay, hi boys and girls, welcome back to the art room. Today is day 2 of this project, and your goal today is going to be to use liquid watercolor paints all over your monster that you've already drawn and added patterns to in oil pastel. So here's mine. I have liquid watercolors today. These are different than the little pans, they're called pans, those little cakes of watercolor that we use, but they're similar because they're very concentrated. So you just need a little bit. So here's the tip. When you're painting, go fast, use a big paintbrush, and try not to go over the same area more than twice. So I'm going to get my paintbrush good and wet. I'm starting with my first color, which is sort of a pink, and I'm just going to start going over it. And most of you know what's going to happen when my watercolor goes over the oil pastel. It's going to make a resist, right? So I'll still be able to see my oil pastel patterns. Just like with the other watercolors, you can kind of go from one warm color to another to blend on your paper. It might look a little streaky as you're painting, but it will dry without the streaks. So see how fast I'm going? Ooh, I like it. Sometimes you can try getting your paper wet first and then adding the watercolor. Okay, I just painted the entire body of my monster. I'm going to move on to the arms and legs, put it on the drying rack, go back to my table and clean up, and I'm finished. Okay, boys and girls, today's day 3. It's our last day to finish this project, and there's a lot of cutting and gluing involved for this, this day's work. So, what I have here is my monster, which I painted on day 2, and I have a big piece of colored construction paper that I chose this nice bright green because I have some bright green stripes on my monster, and I thought it would stand out nicely. So first thing I'm going to do is carefully cut out my monster. So remember some tips. You can just cut away pieces of paper. You don't have to cut it out kind of in one long line. It'll be easier to just kind of cut away the stuff you don't want. If you're like me, when you painted, you went outside of your oil pastel lines, and now you're going to cut on the oil pastel line. So any of the... Okay, got my little monster cut out. Now I'm going to flip it over and put little dots of glue all over the back of my monster. Okay, got all the legs and down to the arms and the hands all over the back of my monster. And I'm going to plop it down on my background piece. Looking good already. Next is going to come the eyes, or you could just do one eye. You could do 2 eyes, 3 eyes, 4 eyes. I probably wouldn't do more than that. In the mouth. So on the back of that worksheet you had that had the bodies, the arms, and the legs, there's a couple different shapes that you could think about for the mouth. It can really be anything you want. But I'm going to take a black scrap that I have sitting here on my table, and you have some too, and I'm going to just go for it. I'm just going to make a funny mouth with black, and I'm going to make my teeth out of white. So I'm going to have it like its mouth is open, like that. And then I have white scraps. I can make as many or as few teeth as I want. I think I'm going to do something kind of silly because I like the idea of a silly monster. Those might be a little bit too big. So I'm not drawing these first. If it bothers you, you can draw first. I think sometimes if you just go for it, you end up with better results. Trimming them to fit. Okay, there we go. There's my mouth and teeth. I'm going to start gluing that down. Again, I flip my paper over. You could always have one tooth at the top and one tooth at the bottom. Sometimes that looks funny. And then lastly, the eye. I'm going to do one eye because I thought it would be funny to have a big eye in the center. I have for you on your tables circle tracers, cups, things you can use to make a perfect circle. We want to kind of think of like a googly eye. Now it won't move, but we want a big white circle with a big black dot in the center. So since I'm just doing one, I kind of took my tracer and saw that that was about the size that I wanted. I'm going to use that. This time you do want to trace first. Go around the edge. I've got a perfect circle now. I can give that tracer to someone else. Okay, and I need something smaller for the pupil, the black part in the center. And I think this cup is just the perfect size, so I'm going to use that. Trace, yes, pencil on black is hard to see, but you can handle it. Roll it around. Perfect. Glue big white dot, get all my glue all the way to the edge. Black. I love it. At this point, if you want to do any extras like eyelashes, eyebrows, you can. Otherwise, sign it like an artist. Of course, that means use your pencil, put your name on the front, and you need to sign it like an art student on the back because when you cut out your monster, you lost your name. So turn it over, write your name and class code on the back, and you